Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have part 2 of my Creative Scrapbook limited edition kit layout chair. I'm going to show you layouts that I made using the limited edition kit for quite a few months. I have processed videos for all of the layouts I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to get started right in. This first stack of layouts was made using the July kit. This kit had an absolutely gorgeous collection from 49 and Market called Spectrum Sherbet. I really enjoyed working with this kit. This first layout, Everyday Adventures, was made using one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I layered up a few cut files, and instead of backing it, I just attached it right down to the page because there were all these beautiful colors on this piece of pattern paper. And then I put some modeling paste on the word adventures just to give it a little bit of texture. I used a stamp from the June kit and I created a whole bunch of butterflies. I added some pearls to the center and some jewels to the page, and it was a pretty simple page. This layout, Hello Happy, was made with this awesome, I guess it's like a View Master, I don't know what we call these. I always struggle to think of the name for these, but in any case, I love these. So I backed this with some black cardstock, and then I used a number of tags and layering pieces that were in the kit, and then a number of butterflies that were all different colors. I added some jewels, and I put some paint in the background, some pink and black and white and orange splatters. This layout, Magic, was made by just layering up a whole bunch of the embellishments that were in the kit. I used these leaves. They were green, and I just did some embossing on them to make them gold. And then I just highlighted some of the butterflies with some glitter paste and added some jewels to the center. This layout, All Good Things, was made using the pink items that were in the kit. There's some green mixed in there too, but I took out all of the pink embellishments and I made a diagonal configuration going from the top left to the bottom right. I made a cluster over here for the title, and then here's one of those smaller Viewmasters, whatever those discs are called. I have a smaller one here that's layered up with a number of embellishments. For this layout, I picked out all the orange and reddish embellishments that were in the kit and this beautiful orange reddish piece of paper, and I added a couple of yellow accents in as well. So I cut a circle out of the center of the paper, and then I flipped it over, and then I added a whole bunch of the embellishments going around the circle. For this layout, Bloom Where You Are Planted, I again used one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I backed it with the pattern papers. I again put some texture paste on these words where and are, and then I embellished the page with a whole bunch of the laser cuts that we got, and then I cut some very small scallop circles to highlight the photo. And then this layout was made, as you could see, with the yellow embellishments from this kit. I made a cluster up on the top left, and then I have another cluster kind of swooping down an arc on this side. The name of the layout is Sweet and Awesome, and I have a photo of my favorite subject, my two daughters, and you'll notice them in most of my scrapbook layouts, not all of them, but most of them. These layouts were made using the May 2021 kit. This kit featured a collection by Prima called Magic Love that was designed by Frank Garcia. For this first layout, Love, I cut my photo into a circle because I wanted to be able to wrap the pearls that we got in the kit around the photo. I also put a doily behind my photo, and then I have some large clusters, one on either side of the photo, and I use a lot of the flowers and the chipboard pieces that we got. I used some ribbon and a border punch on either side of the photo. I also want to point out that these die cuts that I had embossed with some embossing powder, they are turning green. And I had this happen to me once before, so I threw out the embossing powder that I used, but apparently I have another embossing powder that turns green. So I will have to discover which one it is, and I will replace all of these die cuts. Luckily, I tend to attach the die cuts from the base. I don't glue the whole die cut down, so they won't be hard to remove and replace. And you'll see that on some of the other layouts in this month's kit. I have to be more careful about the embossing powders that I use. And that was an embossing powder from my stash that wasn't part of the kit. For this layout, Love, I use a border punch and this cute little teeny tiny pom-pom trim. I mounted my photo on some gold paper, and then I used a whole bunch of the flowers and other embellishments that were in the kit. And I was experimenting with tulle. I think I've used tulle before, but I don't use it that frequently, so I was trying to incorporate that into the large cluster. This layout, the prom, was made using a piece of watercolor paper. I was using the stamp that we got in that month's kit. I just love these beautiful roses and the leaves, so I did some watercolor painting on the background. I used some modeling paste, and then I used the flowers, the chipboard pieces, and the other embellishments that we got in the kit. For this layout, Easter bunnies, I pulled out a number of the embellishments in the kit that I thought could be Easter related. Of course, they could be spring related as well. So I pulled out this lamb and these little chicks. And I love the way there were 3 bunnies to go with my 3 dogs wearing their Easter bunny ears. I used some mixed media on the bottom, some sprays and modeling paste, and then I gessoed over some letters we got in a previous kit, and I painted them or sprayed them colors to go with the mixed media. This layout, Love, My Beautiful Girl, this was made using this beautiful pattern paper that we got. I love the festive look with all the balloons and the bubbles rising. I really love that, so I wanted to continue that theme, and so I chose some of the bubble embellishments that we got, a number of the flowers, and I layered them all around the photo. I also used a tag and a little bit of ribbon. These layouts were made with the September 2021 kit. That kit featured a beautiful Prima collection called My Suite. It was designed by Frank Garcia. For this first layout, I cut my photo into a circle and then I wrapped some pearls around it. I did that on another layout. I also used a number of the dimensional flowers, and I used a lot of the die cut pieces that were available. I have some fussy cut pieces and also some die cut leaves. I used a large scallop punch and then a small scallop punch, 2 doilies. In the background, I have a mixed media background. I used the stencil that we got, some modeling paste, some sprays, and some splatters. And this layout has a very small title. It's called Memories Documented. For this layout, Love This Life, I used one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I backed it with the pattern papers from the collection. I have some very light mixed media in the background, some sprays and some splatters. I have some of the butterflies and the birds that were in the kit, and I embellished the layout with some punched out yellow flowers with pearls in the middle. For this layout, I used the stamp that we got in the kit that month. There was a beautiful rose stamp, so I made a wreath of the roses, and I layered them along with some fussy cut flowers. I used the stencil we got to create a textured background, and then I used some 1/2-inch strips of the pattern papers to make a border. And this layout is called Sweet Memories. This layout, Life Doesn't Have to Be Perfect to Be Wonderful. I used another one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I used the chipboard that we got in the kit that month, and I used some Finnabair paints to make these nice and shiny. And then in the background, I used some pink sprays, and I added some die cuts and a number of the flowers and the chipboard pieces from the kit. For this layout beauty, I again used some strips of paper. This time I made them going on a diagonal across the paper. In the background, I used a stencil along with some sprays to create some texture and add some color to the background. I used these chipboard pieces that we got in the kit, and I covered them with some pearls. I just love these flowers that we got. I really love these ones that have some printing on them. And then I also embellished the layout with some die-cut gold leaves. These layouts were created using the June 2021 kit, and the paper collection that was featured in this kit was the Prima Nature Lover collection. For this first layout, I punched out a whole bunch of border strips in white, and I layered them on top of each other for this part of the layout. In this part of the layout, I have this beautiful pattern paper with blue, white, and touches of gold foiling. Along the diagonal, I used some of the chipboard that normally I would throw away, but I noticed that this part of the chipboard could easily be cut into rectangles, so I went ahead and cut those out and then embossed them. And then I included a whole bunch of the embellishments, the flowers, the chipboard pieces that we got along with a photo. And this layout is called Wild Natural Beauty. For this layout, I used a whole bunch of triangles. This layout is called Love the Lake. I also used these dimensional flowers. I just love this bright blue color. I also die cut some leaves, and I included, again, a lot of the embellishments, some butterflies from the kit, and this beautiful title. For this layout, I used some modeling paste in the background along with some sprays. I also used those dimensional flowers. These were my favorite, the ones with the blue and the yellow on them. I used this frame, and I included a photo of my daughter at the Magic Gardens in Philadelphia. I really wanted to highlight this beautiful blue color, so I made a whole bunch of die cuts and I embossed them with blue embossing powder. This layout, Do Your Own Thing, was again made with one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I backed it with some pattern paper. I used some texture paste and a stencil on this one word. I have a whole lot of mixed media going on in the background, lots of sprays, and then lots of embellishments from the kit. Lots and lots of butterflies on this one. For this layout, Thankful for Today, I used this beautiful black paper with the gold foiling, and I made 3 large banners. I put my photo on the center one, and then I used the embellishments to embellish the other 2 banners. In the background, I have some modeling paste just to give the white background a little bit more interest. These layouts were made using the August 2021 kit. We got 2 different collections, one from 49 and Market and one from Simple Stories, and they worked so nicely together. For this layout, In the Sunshine, I used some of the frames that we got in the kit, and you could see I have a whole bunch of embellishments around the 2 photos. I used a lot of the die cuts and the dimensional flowers. I also used some die cuts from my stash, and I used some Distress Oxides to color the leaves. I love these flip-flops that we got, and the background was already so beautiful, I really didn't have to do anything extra to it. For this layout, Our View of Paradise, I used this awesome frame with the shutters. I love this blue color. And I again used a whole bunch of the embellishments we got in the kit, the flowers, and again, I used some leaves that I die cut. There's this film strip that I backed with some of the packaging. I love the laser cuts we got that month. They were just super cool, were perfect for beach layouts. For this layout, Need More Vitamin C, I used a different film strip and I backed it with some of the papers that we got in the kit. I used, again, the chipboard pieces, the dimensional flowers, and then for this layout, I used a whole bunch of tags. I have some modeling paste in the background, and I distressed the edge and I mounted the layout on some craft cardstock. For this layout, Living at the Beach, I used some very small frames. We got a whole bunch of small frames in the kit, so I decided to use some of them for my photos, and then some of them I layered behind the photos. I again used a whole bunch of the embellishments we got, combined with some die cuts that I colored using some Distress Oxides. This layout, It's a Beach Day, was made with a whole bunch of these beautiful flowers and other dimensional elements. I used the leaves that were in the flower packs and I painted them a different color to go with the layout. I love this laser cut piece and I included a seagull on top of it and also included a few more seagulls on the layout, and then again used a whole bunch of the chipboard pieces and the die cut pieces and made this little cluster here, and I really had fun making this layout. This layout, It's a Beach Day, was made using this beautiful piece of background paper. I used a stencil and I added a little bit of extra color to the background. I used a whole bunch of the laser cut and die cut pieces that we got to create this sea themed background. And then I used a couple of die cuts from my stash that were coral pieces. These layouts were made using the October 2021 kit, and this kit had this really beautiful autumn kit called Hello Pink Autumn that was made by Prima, and I just love the color scheme. For this first layout, Bewitched, I use a photo of my daughters at the Bewitched statue in Salem, Massachusetts. I use a piece of white cardstock, I cut out a moon shape, and then I used some modeling paste to create the moon surface. And then I used a whole bunch of stars in the background, and then to embellish the moon, I used the dimensional flowers and some fussy cut and die cut pieces that we got in the kit, and a couple of die cut leaves as well. This layout, Fall, was made using a whole bunch of strips of paper. I put them on a diagonal and I put them behind this circle that's in the center, and then I created 3 large clusters using embellishments from the kit and a couple of die cut leaves and pearls as well. This layout, Autumn, was also made with strips of paper, but I use them in a different way, going horizontally. I have some mixed media in the background, and then I have 3 clusters with the dimensional flowers and other embellishments, and I included these large butterflies. I used some Bo Bunny glitter paste to give them a little bit of sparkle. This layout, Pumpkin, Spice, and All Things Nice, was made using one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I have a lot of mixed media in the background, lots of sprays and some splatters. I used the dimensional flowers we got, a number of the images of pumpkins that were in the kit, and then of course some butterflies mixed in as well. These layouts were made using the August 2022 kit, and that kit featured a 49 and market collection called Curator's Meadow. It also included some Bo Bunny papers, and I thought that those Bo Bunny papers were a great accent to the 49 and market papers. This first layout, Nature Lover, was something a little different for me. I wanted to try not to have too much of the page taken up by the photo cluster. I was trying to do something a little different, a different style. So I did some stamping on the background, and then I used some sprays. I layered up a whole bunch of cards and papers behind the frame, and then I used a couple of embellishments, the title, Nature Lover, and then I fussy cut these butterflies out from one of the Bo Bunny papers that we got, and I believe I fussy cut out these mushrooms as well, and I included this sentiment, discover the good life. And I was pretty happy with it. Like I said, it's a little bit different style for me, but I wanted to try it out. Oop, oopsie. This layout, Time Treasured, was made by fussy cutting out a number of those Bow Bunny butterflies, and then I used some sprays in my collection and I colored them different colors. I cut out a black circle and I added some splatters to it and some jewels as well. This layout, Every Day is an Adventure with You, was made using one of the cut files. I did some stitching on the cut file. I'm looking at my older layouts where I didn't stitch on all of them, and now I feel like I find some way to incorporate stitching into pretty much every cut file. And I used one of the pattern papers in the background, and then I used a border of strips of paper to go around the photo and the title cluster, and then I included some of the dimensional flowers with a couple of die cuts. This layout is, again, one in which I'm trying something a little bit different. I have two clusters. They're on opposite sides of the page. I did some stamping and mixed media in the background. And then for the title Discover, I just used the chipboard piece we got. I cut the pattern paper, I folded it back, and then I put one of the ephemera pieces behind it. For this layout, I used some sprays in the background and some splatters as well. And then I cut some strips. This time I used wider strips than normal, and I tried to vary the width of the strips. I used a piece of the Bow Bunny paper to make a circle to rest my photo on. I've scrapbooked this photo before. This is a photo of a chipmunk that we used to feed. We haven't seen the chipmunks around lately because now we have 3 dogs, so they don't come up on the porch anymore, but I just love this little photo. And this chipboard piece today serves as the title for this layout, and I used the dimensional flowers, and I have a cluster, and they're both anchored on some half circles. And I love this really big butterfly. That was fussy cut from one of the pattern papers. This layout, Weekend Away, this was made once again using one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I cut out a piece of pattern paper and I mounted my photo and the cut file on it, and then I mounted the whole thing on this Bow Bunny paper. I love the way 49 & Market always includes lots and lots of tickets, so I decided that since it was a travel theme that I would include a lot of the tickets on the top and the bottom, and then I have a little cluster of titles over here. Those are all the layouts that I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you very much for sticking with me till the end of this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I love making layout shares, and I love watching other people's layout shares, so I hope that you got a few ideas from watching this video. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I'll be back again soon, and I'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.